one thing with the other. It's like the chain link, you see. You have got the links, one gets, hooked into the other. So, interlinking. So, the last thought moment is of this life and the first thought moment of the next, they get interlinked. They get, by this fetter. Now, what are these fetters? They are mental factors ultimately. For instance, I sense, the sense of ego, myself, I am, my family, my country, my this, my that. That's a terrible, terrible fetter indeed. And so on, there are 10 such fetters. I am going to deal all this thing in detail during the course of this series. But today, this much. How the interlinking occurs, how the fettering of the mind with the external objects, and thereby giving rise to all kinds of karmas, and karma producing rebirth. This wheel of life, how it goes on. So now, on the first day, if you remember, last time we mentioned, the arhats had their meals, the morning alms, breakfast, and then they went and sat down in that place. 4 arhats were assigned the job of giving discourse on the subject of mindfulness. And that is to say, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. What does it mean? Foundations means there are 4 ways, or there are 4 bases based on which you can cultivate your mindfulness. And what are these 4? One is all bodily movements. Kaya anupassana. Kaya plus anupassana. The process of, being mindful of anything kaya, any bodily activity, any bodily function. Now, for instance, breathing is a bodily function. It's automatic, you can't help it. You are breathing in and breathing out. So now, in and out is a process. Now, if you can focus your attention on this in and out respiration or breathing, this focusing of the mind on the breathing itself will make the breathing calm. The more you are focused on the breath, the more the breath becomes calm and settled, and calmer the breath, calmer the mind, because breath and mind are closely linked. So once the breath becomes calm, the mind too becomes calm. And when the mind becomes calm, it becomes more stable. That is more manageable. You can handle the mind more easily. Otherwise, it just fizzles out, it's very, very difficult to handle. So now, once you are, by focusing your mind, that is by becoming mindful of the process called in-breath and out-breath, this focusing on the breath. There are very many points where you can do that, just below the nostril or at the abdomen. There are many points, and one cannot be dogmatic about this. There are some meditation teachers who become dogmatic. They say, no, only in the nose, nonsense. It can be done in at the abdomen level successfully and effectively as in the nostril. So, in the practice of meditation, please remember, one can never be very, very cocksure and say only this and not any other. You are dealing with mind, not with the point on which you focus the mind. That must be remembered. There are some teacher who goes on dogmatizing, and the serious meditators must note that. Whichever point is suitable for your temperament, whether it is the nostril or it is the abdomen, where if you breathe in, the abdomen expands, it rises. If you breathe out, it contracts and it falls. So whether you expand, you see, focus your mind on the rise and fall movement at the abdomen, which for most people are very effective, or whether you are focusing it on the nostril at the entrance point, which is also a bodily impression, the touch impression. As the breath touches the point, you have a touch impression. You feel a touch and mindfulness of that touch impression. That is what you do at that point. In the abdomen too, it is the same thing. It is a touch impression ultimately. Though you are focusing on the movement, but the movement refers to a touch. So in this way, as you practice, you will see the mind becomes calm and stable and therefore concentrated. And once the mind is stable and concentrated and calm, the mind becomes a very, very powerful phenomenon. There is nothing that the mind cannot do. And so, by generating the internal power through concentration, with the help of mindfulness, one can raise the consciousness from the level of the Kamaloka in which we are, the human world, into the dimension, the very sublime dimension of the Brahma gods, the Rupa Loka, Rupavachara. And there the mind becomes so concentrated and focused, so calm and so peaceful, and so sublimated, it enters into a state of samadhi, ecstatic absorption. You can remain in samadhi for hours and hours and hours without being aware of this, any sensory experience at all. So now, the purpose of meditation, of course, is not just to get samadhi and thereby acquire all kinds of psychic powers or supernormal powers, like you fly. There are all kinds of supernormal power. You read somebody's thought, somebody's mind. All kinds of things can be done. But that's not the goal of spiritual. That's like you acquiring knowledge and you become a great pandit and you can talk a lot and all that sort of thing. No, these are talents of some kind. The purpose of meditation and development of mindfulness is emancipation of the mind, liberation of the mind. That comes from you develop the samadhi and then you practice what is called vipassana, penetrating into the reality behind an experience. When you get the samadhi, you penetrate into the reality of that experience. And you will see that the reality is the same as in any experience, and namely anicca, dukkha, anatta. That it is in a dynamic state of change. It's changing from moment to moment. And whatever is changing cannot be stable. The basic instability that the mind suffers from is because of this law of impermanence. Nothing is permanent. Everything is changing, therefore is unstable and therefore unsatisfactory. Dukkha. Dukkha does not mean only pain, bodily pain or mental pain. It also means a metaphysical suffering in the form of this being subjected to impermanence. You develop a family, a whole life you have toiled and developed, and suddenly you die and everything is over. You carry nothing with yourself except the bundle of karma that you have developed, you have accumulated meanwhile. So that's a very dramatic way of seeing impermanence. Death. Death is a dramatization of the law of impermanence. So once you by the vipassana you see all these, you experience them. See doesn't mean with the eye, but with the mental eye. But after a time, not even with the mental eye, but with the eye of wisdom. Wisdom is not just knowledge. Wisdom is penetrating into the reality of an experience. So with this reality, intuitive reality-based, based knowledge or wisdom, you are able to free the mind from the bondage and cut asunder, destroy all the fetters. So the mind is transformed once for all. So if you continue to live having achieved the liberation of the mind, thereafter you are a liberated, enlightened saint, enlightened person who now starts enlightening others. That is how things work. Now, so these 4 Satipatthanas, last time I mentioned a little bit, today also I have mentioned. Next time I will go further. But next time I would like to discuss on what is called mindfulness as an indriya. Indriya means a faculty, and faculty means an original power of the mind and the potency. So that will be the subject next time. With this I conclude. May the blessings of Bhagavan Buddha, his Dhamma and Sangha surround your lives with wisdom and well-being. May you all be happy. Sukhino bhavantu.